So to review here, Enkidu is associated as a wild man. He's described as being linked with animals and nature. When it comes to sexuality, his experience with sexuality is one of domestication. It is an introduction into culture and civilization. He starts to show signs of a conscience. He is blocking the marital chamber, not allowing Gilgamesh to exert his arrogance. He shows signs of protection. He is going to become a figure who protects Gilgamesh from himself. And we see evidence of this when he starts to protect the shepherds from animals. He protects the animals, he protects shepherds, and he's also going to protect Gilgamesh. And he also will become a comrade, right? A symbol of comrade or a friendship to Gilgamesh. If you bring all of these things together, he's associated with nature. On the other hand, we have Gilgamesh, right? And what we've learned of Gilgamesh so far is that he's a king. He is the king of the city of Uruk. He's associated with urban infrastructure and urban monuments. When it comes to sexuality, the description of Gilgamesh in terms of sex and sexuality is predatory. He's a predator. He is forcing himself on the subjects of Uruk against their will. He is associated with law and administration. And he is violent. He's associated with violence in these early tablets. Violence in the city of Uruk, violence against Enkidu during the fight, and then in one of the first adventures we'll see is the violence and arrogance against the god of the cedar forest, Umbaba. Individualism, he's associated with individualism rather than a kind of friendship or collective community. And if you bring all of these things together, he becomes a sign of civilization. So already in this first tablet, we have Enkidu and Gilgamesh setting up a kind of formal balance or formal conflict, a tension that will be played out in the narrative between nature and civilization. Okay, now this is not a pure clash or an opposition between nature and civilization. As we've already seen, Enkidu starts to go through a transition from a natural man into civilization, into some of the things that Gilgamesh is associated with. So rather than see them as a pure clash, it's better to think of the kind of natural world versus civilization. There's a clash between them, and they come together to form an integrated whole. And the story's purpose we could propose is to mediate the contradictions between nature and civilization, between natural man and civilized man, between animalistic violence and subdued, controlled compassion. This is a story in many respects about the contradictions between nature and culture.